One battle after another is here. Now I try not to buy too much into hype, but after one review after another calling this a modern classic, it was hard not to. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Bob Ferguson, a member of a far-left revolutionary group known as the Friends 75. In the first half an hour of the movie, we watch as Leonardo DiCaprio's character and his partner, Perfedia, played to perfection by Tiana Taylor, stage a series of disruptive terrorist acts as a form of retaliation against the system. Perfedia, a black woman, has some sort of messed up, twisted affair with Sean Penn's Colonel Steve Lockjaw, who can only be described as a military officer who hates black people just as much as he fetishizes them, black women to be specific. Soon, Bob and Perfedia give birth to a biracial child, who after a 16-year time skip is played by newcomer Chase Infinity. Perfedia is out of the picture, leaving Bob as a single dad with a straining relationship with his daughter, and a strange relationship with his once revolutionary act. The guy went from a revolutionary dude into the dude from Big Lebowski, when Colonel Lockjaw emerges from the past with the goal of estranging Bob from his daughter, maybe permanently. The movie has been receiving unanimous universal acclaim, several calling it PTA's best, the best of the year, and maybe even one of the best of the decade. All of that made me cautiously optimistic. Would this be a modern masterpiece, or another instance of the internet train riding this thing all the way into overhype hell? Unfortunately, it's the latter. Make no mistake, One Battle After Another is a solid film, but the conversation around it as the second coming of cinematic Jesus says less about the actual quality of the movie and more about the state of cinema in general, where people are so starved for a somewhat original blockbuster, anything that isn't tied to a franchise or IP, to the point where any solid, maybe even decent film that fits into that category is hailed as a masterpiece. Yes, I get it, we're all sick of getting 20 Marvel movies a year, but surely we can do better than this. I mean, only a few years ago, when a movie like Parasite or Moonlight was hailed as a modern masterpiece, it was because those films felt genuinely transformative, one of one. But when you listen to the praise for Paul Thomas Anderson's latest, it sounds a lot like, you know what, everything about this movie is solid, so I guess it makes it a masterpiece? Many have praised PTA for effectively creating a popcorn action film that also doubles as an incredibly complex mirror of where America is today. And to that I have to say, I think he failed. For comparison, let's take a movie like Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman. The way in which that movie gets at racial injustice and bigotry is fascinating. It's not simply putting the KKK on screen, it's drawing a thread between the past and the present, showing how the bigotry of the Ku Klux Klan still manifests today in politics. The film asks so many fascinating questions about whether or not change can be done from within the system, or whether it has to be done from the outside. The film is a fascinating exploration of John David Washington's character. Is he sacrificing too much of his own identity? That was a movie that had something to say. On the other hand, you have one battle after another. Yes, there's a white supremacist group, there's immigration detention camps, but the movie has nothing to say about any of these topics that we haven't heard a billion times, resulting in a film that says so much without saying anything. But if you hear people talk about this movie as a Mad Max Fury Road-esque non-stop thriller of an action film, you'll think you took crazy pills. Sure, there's some exhilarating set pieces, especially a final car chase which just takes the cake as one of the coolest scenes in the year. But outside of that, I genuinely felt like I watched a different movie to anyone else. In the grand scope of the 2 hour and 40 minute runtime, I would say say there was about a solid 40 minutes of action and another 2 hours of talking. And when so many of those conversations are thinly veiled parodies of white supremacist groups, it's not exactly ramping up the tension, is it? Sure, the Johnny Greenwood soundtrack is pretty great. It does a lot of heavy lifting and making you feel like you're watching something intense, when all you're watching is half an action film, half an SNL parody, with jokes that often hit with precision or land with a whimper. On a technical level, it's hard to fault the film. The performances across the board are uniformly great. I mean, I will not mind if by the end of next year, Sean Penn is a triple-time Oscar winner, because he plays Colonel Lockjaw in a way that's just so evil yet so pathetic that you can't help but almost pity the guy. It's an incredibly impressive balancing act for any actor. I'm already familiar with Tiana Taylor as a musician, but I had no idea she would translate that performance quality onto the big screen in a stellar performance. Benicio del Toro is Benicio del Toro, which is my way of saying he's great. Leonardo DiCaprio is tapping into the same hooligan bag that he tapped into with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Don't Look Up, and hey, it works. It's nothing we haven't seen from him before, but he genuinely makes you root for the character, and his humor genuinely lands. But at the end of the day, a technically well-made movie does not a masterpiece make. Yes, the acting, visuals, the score are all solid, but the movie is lacking the it factor. Instead, we get an entertaining piece of cinema that imitates depth while having nothing interesting to say. It's a movie of well-made scenes that doesn't give you much of a reason to think about it by the end of the night. And for that, I'm giving this one a 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for weekly TV and movie reviews. And if you've had the chance to watch one battle after another, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time.